So I recently just finished reading second year volume 8 of Clash of the Elite, and I decided to give my thoughts of the overall light novel. Now, one thing that I do need to mention is that I am going to spoil some things, so if you haven't read second year volume 8, I highly recommend you read it because I am going to spoil some things that happen in this volume. So if you don't want to get spoiled and you don't want to find out things because you haven't read it yet, highly recommend you read it before you watch this video. So with that, let's just talk about it. Now, originally I wasn't really planning on making a video talking about second year volume 8 because I was actually planning on working on the 2 other Clash of the Elite videos that I will be making in the near future. But since I did finish reading this entire volume, I decided to give my thoughts overall, how I enjoyed it and if there was anything good in this volume, and to that I say there was. Now, it is kind of slice of life because this does do the school trip arc. This was kind of already briefly mentioned in other volumes that there was going to be a school trip in the near future, and in this volume it's pretty much focusing on that, what happens in the school trip. But like I mentioned, even though it is slice of life, there is still things that are going to become really important as the series goes on. Now, I'm not going to talk about every single little detail that happened because there's a lot of things that happen in this volume, so I'm not going to go into every little detail, every little interaction because there is a lot. I'm just going to go over the big events or the big moments that happen in this volume. So with that, let's just begin with the school trip overall. So basically, the way the school trip is going to function is that people are going to be in groups, not with their friends or people they know from their class. They're going to be in groups from different classes, and in Ayanokoji's case, he was with a group that had Kushida, Ryuuen, Kito, Yamamura, Watanabe, Nishino, and then there was another person, but I forgot their name, so my apologies. So this is a very interesting group, and it's very obvious to what makes this group very interesting is the fact that Kushida, Ryuuen, and Ayanokoji are in one group. And if you know anything about this series, these three have like a long history with each other. So yeah, it's all I can say that it's a group that I was kind of curious how they were going to act, especially considering the fact that you have these 3 characters. But overall, I think the group was solid. There wasn't really like a whole lot of like big moments in which the group had like this like big moment. I guess the only big moment that comes to mind right now is when some guys from a different school were picking on Nishino and Yamamura because apparently Yamamura bumped into one of them and they were causing like a scene. And then that's when Ryuuen and Kito decide to confront these guys, which goes to show you that despite these 2 having very strong personalities, if there is someone that messes with people from their class, they will confront you about it. They're not just going to sit there and do nothing. They will confront people who mess with their classmates. So yeah, in terms of like a big moment that happened in this volume within the group, that's probably the biggest moment that happened. Another moment that I forgot to mention that happened before the school trip started was a conversation that Ayanokoji had with Nanase and Ichika, which I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting Ayanokoji to have a conversation with the first years in this volume, but he does have one before he leaves for the school trip. And basically, to keep it simple, the conversation that Ayanokoji had with Ichika was about the whole Yagami situation, which Yagami was expelled from the school during the culture festival. And let me remind you, Yagami was one of the White Room students that was sent to get Ayanokoji expelled from the school. And in this conversation, Ayanokoji asks Ichika what is she planning on doing, to which she says how she's planning on staying at the school. And that's probably like the only option she has right now, because if you have read second year, you would know that because Ichika didn't follow the White Room's orders to getting rid of Ayanokoji, and that's mainly due to the fact that she admired Ayanokoji, so because of that she was considered a traitor, she can no longer go back to the White Room, which pretty much at this point it's become very clear that she's all alone now. And I think at this point Ayanokoji is wondering what she's going to do next, but based on this conversation it's very clear that Ichika is planning on staying at the school until she graduates. And then the next conversation with Ayanokoji and Nanase was a very more interesting one, because Ayanokoji is starting to suspect that Nanase is not telling him everything, like she's still hiding some things about her, to which Ayanokoji is now suspecting that maybe Nanase is somebody that he should probably be on guard, even though Nanase states in this conversation that she is not an enemy of Ayanokoji and has no intention of doing anything bad to him. Ayanokoji is still kind of suspicious, so we'll have to wait and see what this is going to lead up to. Is there going to be a secret that Nanase has hidden, or is nothing really going to happen? This is just Ayanokoji putting his guard up because he feels like there's something going on, but in reality there might not be. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see what happens next with Nanase. And then there's the conversation that Ayanokoji had with Ryuuen, which really interests me for two reasons. The first one being was when they were on the bus heading to their location, Ayanokoji and Ryuuen talk, in which Ryuuen tells Ayanokoji how he is actually already in plans of taking down Sakinagi, and it's very clear that Ryuuen has no intentions of being defeated by Sakinagi, because for him, Class A is the one that's causing the biggest threats right now, so he wants to take care of them first. Which of course, in the mind of Ayanokoji, he's wondering if Ryuuen can actually defeat Sakinagi, or is he going to be defeated by her. But that wasn't the only conversation that was interesting, because in that same conversation as well, during the whole bus ride that they were having, Ryuuen tells Ayanokoji how he knows that Ayanokoji is hiding something. And the reason why he came up with this conclusion is because after the whole Yagami expulsion thing, Yagami was very clearly somebody that was going after Ayanokoji for some reason. Now, we obviously know why Yagami was after Ayanokoji, but for the rest of the characters, they have no idea why Yagami was so interested in Ayanokoji. Of course, Ayanokoji tries to act like he has no idea what he's talking about, but Ryuen's not buying it, and he says how he's going to look into it. And the person he says that he's going to talk to get this information would be Ichika, the first year. Now, Ayanokoji doesn't really care because, well, it's very obvious. Based on Ichika's personality, she is not going to give information that easily. So we'll just have to wait and see if the next volume will have a confrontation between Ichika and Ryuuen, but only time will tell. And then let's talk about the confession that Sudo gave to Horikita. Yes, in this volume, Sudo finally confesses to Horikita, and sadly, let's just say that Horikita rejected Sudo. But what I really enjoyed about this moment is because we got to see how these characters have pretty much gotten a lot of character development. Like if this was the old Sudo, Sudo would have probably never have gotten the idea to confess to Horikita, because remember, in the beginning of the series, Sudo had no interest in Horikita because he was a hothead, he just cared about sports. But because Horikita wanted the class to succeed, she tried helping Sudo into doing his studies and getting good grades, which of course, first Sudo was not interested in it, but he decided to do things for Horikita, which of course led to him wanting to become a much more better person for Horikita, which at that point it was very clear that Sudo had feelings for Horikita, and as a result he decided that at this trip it will be the time to finally confess to Horikita. But sadly he got rejected, but despite getting rejected, he was still able to accept it and realize that even though he got rejected, he has to keep going on in life and just move forward, which is really nice because it just goes to show you that at this point Sudo realized that he did what he had to do. He finally confessed to the girl he liked, but even though he got rejected, he just has to move on in life because that's how life is. It's not going to always be fair, and there's nothing else he could really do. And with Horikita's case, this was showing us how much of a great person she has become. I'm pretty sure if this was the old Horikita, she would have immediately rejected Sudo and not even take his feelings into consideration. But because we've seen her grow as a person, she actually took Sudo's feelings into consideration and even thanked him for confessing, because she would have never believed that someone would confess to her because, well, as we all know, she did have a very strong personality, so she didn't really think anyone was going to fall for her. But it's very clear that there was one person who actually did like her, and that was Sudo. So yeah, even though Sudo got rejected, at the end of the day, he still did what he wanted to do, which was finally confess to Horikita. And even though it sucks that these two are probably never going to be in a relationship, at least we got to see how much they grew as people. And then the next one was kind of really surprising because I wasn't expecting this kind of interaction with these two, but this was Horikita and Ayanokoji's discussion involving the whole situation that happened with Yagami. So Horikita wants to talk to Ayanokoji because of course she has a feeling that he had something to do with the expulsion of Yagami. Of course, Ayanokoji first starts by acting like he has no idea what she's talking about and saying how he has no involvement in that whole situation. But Horikita pushed further, asking Ayanokoji if she could ask him questions, to which Ayanokoji is confused as to what kind of questions she wants to ask him, to which Horikita wants to ask Ayanokoji who is Kiyotaka Ayanokoji. She wants to know what elementary school he went to. He wants to know what junior high school he went to, what he did outside, before he went to the high school, if he did any competitions. Now, obviously, Ayanokoji realizes that these are questions that he can't even lie because he has no idea how the outside world is. He's been isolated pretty much his entire life because he's been in the White Room for so long. So obviously, he has no idea what other places are or the schools that there are in Japan because he's been in the White Room for a long period of time. So in order for him to avoid these questions, Ayanokoji tells Horikita that yes, he did have something to do with the whole Yagami expulsion, but he states that it wasn't for him, it was for another person. It's just that Yagami fell for the trap. So it's very clear that while Ayanokoji is sort of being honest. It's very clear that he's not being fully honest with Horikita, but he's only doing this to avoid the questions that she asks as to what kind of person he actually is and who is Kiyotaka Ayanokoji. It was also in this volume that we get the reveal that Ishigami, a first year student, is the third White Room student that is in the school. Now we have kind of a few moments in second year in which it was very clear there was somebody else from the White Room being at the school, but despite knowing that there may be another White Room student at the school, we didn't know their identity until this volume. It was revealed that Ishigami is the third White Room student. And what's really interesting is that it seems like Kanzaki actually does know who Ishigami is, because this scene in which Arisu and Ayanokoji are talking, Arisu actually does invite Kanzaki into this conversation when they're talking about Ishigami, and it's very clear that Kanzaki does know who Ishigami is, although it's very obvious from the way he's acting that he's not really a huge fan of Ishigami. But another piece of information that's also very interesting that actually surprised me is that Kanzaki actually does know who Ayanokoji's father is, which I wasn't really expecting. I was not expecting Kanzaki, out of all the people in this series, to know who Ayanokoji's father is, and even Ayanokoji himself is kind of surprised at as well. But yes, Kanzaki does know who Ayanokoji's father is. Not only that, but we also get in the same scene Arisu actually talking to Ishigami. She calls him in her phone and Ishigami responds, and what's really interesting is that Ishigami states here that he has no intentions of getting rid of Ayanokoji. However, he also states how if Ayanokoji's father does give him the order to take Ayanokoji out of the school, he is going to do that. So in a way, it's kind of like a good news, bad news kind of thing, because while it is good that Ishigami has no intention of getting rid of Ayanokoji from the school, it is kind of bad because now Ayanokoji has to pretty much keep an eye on Ishigami and make sure that he's not trying to get him out of the school. So we'll just have to see if Ishigami is going to do that, if there is going to be a moment in which he gets the order to get rid of Ayanokoji, and if that's the case, we'll just have to see what his plan is going to be and how Ayanokoji deals with it. And let's talk about probably the biggest moment in this volume that I've seen a lot of people having discussions on the internet, and this is the moment between Ayanokoji and Ichinose. So it's been a while since these two have actually talked, and it's very clear that Ichinose is at a verge of breaking down because she is really worried of what's going to happen in the future. All the other classes are doing great except her class, and it seems the dream of getting into class A is only getting further and further away from Ichinose's class. So it's very obvious as to why she's worried and she is scared of what's going to happen in the future. But Ayanokoji tells her how she just has to keep going on. And it's this part that really confused me, because I've seen so many people say how this is proof that Ayanokoji and Ichinose are going to have a relationship, and this is further proof that Ayanokoji has never liked Kei. I don't know why people keep assuming this, like this is the case where Ayanokoji never liked Kei to begin with. However, this is not the case, because if you have read what Ayanokoji is actually thinking of this whole situation involving Ichinose, he doesn't want her to fail right now because it's going to affect his plan in the near future. Now, we don't know what she's going to do in his plan or how she's going to get involved in his plan, but it's very clear that Ayanokoji's plan will now work if Ichinose keeps going on a massive downfall. So he's going to do whatever it takes to make sure that Ichinose keeps on going. This is not a case of Ayanokoji showing that he has some sort of feelings for Ichinose. No, the reason why he's helping Ichinose is because it's going to benefit his plan in the future. So I still don't understand why people are thinking like Ayanokoji and an Ichinose relationship is going to happen, because the guy is literally admitting that the only reason why he's helping her out right now is just for his plan to work. I'm guessing the reason why people think that an Ayanokoji and Ichinose thing is going to happen is because Ayanokoji hugs Ichinose in this scene. But the only reason why he's doing that is to make sure that Ichinose doesn't give up and keeps going on forward. It's not an indication that Ayanokoji has now feelings for Ichinose, because it's very clear the only reason why Ayanokoji is helping Ichinose right now is because she's going to be a benefit for his plan. And I guess the other thing that also is a highlight of this volume is Kushida now having like these feelings that she may have a thing for Ayanokoji. Because when Kushida was confronted with Ryuuen, because Ryuuen was clearly somebody that was trying to get Kushida to reveal her true personality during the school trip. So Kushida decided to confront Ryuuen and tell him to stop doing that. But Ryuuen fired back, saying that if he wanted to, he could expose her true personality to the entire school. And of course, because she realizes that this is Ryuuen we're talking about, she was scared that he was actually going to do it. But Ayanokoji, because he was hearing this whole conversation, decides to defend Kushida, telling Ryuuen to back off. And ultimately, as a result, Ryuuen pretty much reveals how he was not actually being serious because he already talked to Ayanokoji, because also in the conversation between Ayanokoji and Ryuuen, Ayanokoji says how he has no intentions of actually expelling Kushida anymore because she is actually an important person for Horikita's class, so they're going to keep her because she is somebody that they could use to improve the class. After this whole situation, Kushida asks Ayanokoji why he decided to help her out, to which Ayanokoji just simply responds because she is an important member of the Horikita class. Not only that, but he also tells her to just be careful from now on and just live her normal school life because she doesn't have to be dealing with Ryuuen anymore, because it's very clear based on what Ryuuen said. It seems that he's unlikely to tell anybody about Kushida's true personality. And this is where Ayanokoji, now I don't know if he's being honest because you never know with Ayanokoji, but he says how he doesn't actually mind Kushida's true personality because that's the real Kushida, which of course Kushida refuses to believe that someone can actually like her true personality because, well, let's be honest, it's not a really nice personality to have. But it seems that Ayanokoji doesn't actually have a problem with Kushida's true personality, and honestly he doesn't really mind it. Now this is where Kushida starts to have these kind of weird feelings, and Ayanokoji also notices that her face is starting to get really red, and he has no idea why, which goes to show you just how dense sometimes Ayanokoji could be on certain things. But it was towards the end of the volume where we get Kushida's point of view in that whole situation, in which she explains how she has no idea what's going on, and she can't possibly accept the fact that she may be having a thing for Ayanokoji, which she refuses to believe because she has stated numerous times how she has no interest in relationships and she's not going to fall in love with anybody, which is kind of funny now because this is what exactly is happening to her. It seems that she is having some sort of feelings towards Ayanokoji, it's just that she doesn't want to accept them. So who really knows what's going to happen with this? I don't know if this is just going to be a thing just for this moment in which she was just caught off guard with what Ayanokoji said, or is she genuinely having feelings for Ayanokoji? But we'll just have to wait and see what happens next in the upcoming volumes with all this. And with that, that's pretty much the entire video. So yeah, overall solid volume. Really looking forward to volume 9 of second year, kind of seeing where the story is going to end in second year, and then hopefully we do get third year, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. And with that, that's pretty much the entire video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.